Mishcon Academy digital sessions.
Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining this Mishcon Academy session, part of a series of online events, videos and podcasts looking at the biggest issues faced by businesses and individuals today. I'm Joanna Lawson and I'll be hosting today's event. Now, it's my privilege to welcome our wonderful guests, Emily and her dog, Raymond. So we're going to come on to talk about the chapter in your life where you tragically lost your sister Rachel and your mum and your dad in an unimaginably painful quick succession. Before we get onto that and talk about how Ray came into your life, I thought it'd be really good to start by talking about the first few chapters in your childhood and your upbringing. So can you tell us a bit about that? Because I think it's fair to say that it wasn't kind of a classic childhood.
No, I grew up with weirdos. I mean, they were lovely weirdos, they were my weirdos, but they were artsy, bohemian weirdos. And I would see other families and they had, for some reason, Labradors just represented, I suppose, constancy and normality, and a dad that came home and all the other children would say, God, we're really jealous of you. You know, you can stay up all night. And we didn't have breakfast. Like, I remember I'd go to kids' houses and I said, why have you got bowls out? And they were like, oh, do you not have breakfast? And I said, oh no, we just have the dinner party leftovers. So we were more sort of roving players in a circus troupe, really, that we'd say, oh, we're going to this town next, we're going here. And I just think a dog partly wouldn't have been practical, but I also think what dogs represented wouldn't have worked in my family setup.
And I guess because of that lack of structure, it meant that you and your sister Rachel were incredibly close when you were growing up.
My sister and I suppose it's, when you're in an unpredictable environment like that, you bond, don't you? It's kind of like being in a sort of semi-war zone in some ways, and that you just never know. You're on high alert all the time thinking what's going to happen next. And she and I, we had this shared bond and this shared language and this shared history that we just knew what the other was thinking all the time. You wouldn't have to say anything. You would just be like, yeah, she knows, she gets it. There'd just be a little look.
And then in December 2011, everything changed and she got a shock diagnosis.
Yeah, she'd basically got this, she said to me, I always remember, she said, I feel a bit fluey. And she'd not long had a baby. She had her daughter Mimi, and then her daughter Alberta would have been only, I guess, 10 months old at that point. So I think like a lot of people who've experienced, pregnancy, she felt, well, this must, of course, I'm tired. So I remember being in the Topshop changing room, and she said, oh, I can't shift this baby weight. And I was sort of saying, oh, you should come to this trainer, and, And then, of course, it wasn't baby weight because it was the swelling from the tumours. It turned out she suddenly got diagnosed. She just kept feeling worse and worse. And then she got diagnosed with cancer, and it was stage 4. And as I'm sure everyone will be aware, there is no stage 5, so we knew it was bad. First thing she said was, but I can't. It was like that practical thing of, she said, but I've got a baby. I can't. It was like it wasn't computing. And I said, how long have we got? Yeah. And then I stopped because I thought, that A, that's not my right. That's her decision whether she wants to know that. And B, she's got a partner who I was overlooking, And my sister, and I said, I'm really sorry. And my sister said, no, I want to know. And the consultant said, it'll be 3 months if you're lucky. And then it was 3 weeks. She actually died 3 weeks later, which was so tough.
Yeah, there's no time to process anything.
No, it was very difficult. And it was just that, it was a really tough process. And I promise it'll start getting happy soon. And then not long afterwards, my mum...
Within 2 years.
Yeah, within 2 years, my mum and my dad died. My mum got diagnosed with motor neuron disease, and she died not long afterwards. And then my dad just collapsed and had a stroke. So that was really difficult. That was like 3 years to lose your whole family. I kept saying it was like some sort of ending to Game of Thrones or something, where they'd all just put it in one episode, and someone had said, you can't do that, you can't kill them all off. But that's how it felt. It felt surreal. But yeah, so it's been tough, but it's been kind of It's brought dogs into my life,
Yeah,
which was the other thing,
absolutely.
because my sister had got this dog, Giggle,
Giggle.
Mr. Giggle, they'd call it.
Was it the practical element of having
Yeah.
the dog that meant you had
Suddenly
routines?
having that routine, Joe, suddenly feeling, I could see how he sort of became a link between her and the between then and now, in a sense. There was also that sense of dogs, as again, anyone who has one will know, they live in the eternal present. So for me, how I sort of recovered, I suppose, although you don't really ever recover, because I always say, with any kind of loss and with any kind of traumatic experience, which I suppose it was just having multiple losses like
huge
that.
trauma.
It's about filling your life with different memories as well. Vulnerability has been the big thing that I've learned.
Kind of accepting your flaws and
Accepting your flaws and accepting. I did this thing called the Hoffman process, which is incredible. It's sort of this 7-day thing where essentially you learn to sort of come to terms with your family experience and who you are. I sort of made commitments to myself as well. And I wrote to myself. I said, I'm going to write a book, not just talk about writing a book and watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but actually write it. And I'm going to get a dog. Because I think what a dog represented to me, I'd never felt I was good enough to look after anyone or anything. And I'm useless, I'm chaotic, it will die. But he's still with us. And I decided to get this little boy, Raymond, who is, honestly, every time, I had it the other day, I was feeling a bit sad, and I woke up and he was on the bed, no judgment, and I just started laughing. He was being so hilarious, sort of jumping and leaping about. It's such unconditional love that I have with him, and it's been so lovely just feeling, look at him, how can you not love him?
Having read the book, I think I mentioned it to you before, it's one of the books you just can't put down and you keep reading it. But what really comes across is, I'll take it away from dogs, which won't be popular with the audience, is your friends and how important your friends were. Can you talk a bit about how supportive all your friends were, especially during that 3-year period?
I sort of didn't know how dependent on them and how valuable they would be to me. You know, it was just that sense of people doing incredible things, just the kindness, you know. And it's always great as well when people don't say, how are you? Because how are you feels, when you've just experienced something like that, feels overwhelming. I can't answer that. And I sort of feel I have to make it okay for you by saying fine.
Well, Emily, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story and introducing everyone to the wonderful Ray. And it's just been brilliant to have you here. Thank you.
Oh, Jo, well, I've loved being here. And I say I've loved being here. I'm not leaving. I'm obsessed by Mishcon Ray. Frankly, it's very us, Ray. I think we're here for good.
There are some books around Emily's, I presume, happy to sign. I'm putting words in your mouth now. Yeah.
Ray might even do a paw print.
Perfect, perfect. So if anyone wants to stay behind and have the book signed, then please do. But thank you,
Thank
Emily.
you so much for coming. Thank you. Thank you, Jo.
The Mishcon Academy Digital Sessions. To access advice for businesses that is regularly updated, please visit mishcon.com.